Hello, yoga community. Welcome to your Yoga Ala retreat. I'm really happy you're here with us today to practice. So today we're going to focus on being present, which is, to me, what the yoga practice is all about. And we're going to do that through being really aware of the actual physical postures and what they are. So seeing if we can, instead of just kind of going through the motions of what the poses look like, maybe we've done them a bunch of times, or maybe we're new to them, it doesn't matter. But I want us to focus today on really being in whatever the pose that we're in. So in yoga, the physical poses are often animals or elements of nature. So I want us to use the poses as a way to get present and curious. So like when we step into the pose of tree, we'll really imagine ourselves inside of a tree. Or when we're doing our cat-cows, we'll just kind of use that cue to draw us back into what we're doing. Because it can be easy, especially in something that we're used to doing or a routine of doing, to just go through the motions. And sometimes that's the way life is. We just got to get through it. But I find when I can remember to be engaged in the moments, they're more meaningful, they feel more full, they feel new and exciting and present. Even when they're hard, it's good in my experience to be present and in the moment that we're in. So let's be in the body that we're in. Let's honor the body we're in today, listening. So let's find our seat. You could sit up in a chair, you could sit on the earth. Grounding down to the floor, so either feeling your seat on the earth, feeling your feet on the earth if you're in a chair, letting your shoulders come away from your ears, close your eyes, soften into your jaw and fill in your breath. So just starting to slow down the breath, to deepen the breath, allowing the breath to remind you to be here in your body in this moment together. And then go ahead and flutter your eyes open, and let's start on hands and knees today. So starting on your hands and your knees. So this is called cat-cow pose. So we're gonna be a little playful today. Imagine ourselves embracing a cat and a cow. So fingers spread wide underneath the shoulders, knees are stacked underneath the hips. As you inhale, let your belly drop, let your heart rise through. So we'll pause here. This is cow pose. So maybe put yourself in a beautiful posture. Maybe feel the wideness of this pose. Cows tend to be very wide, so take up space here. Really let your belly drop, let your shoulders come down. Keep your breath moving through. And then the next time you exhale, press into your knuckles, round in your upper back. Take your nose in towards your belly button and let your head go. So this is cat pose. So I think of those pictures of like a black Halloween cat. Find some breaths into your upper back. Maybe feel how this pose helps you go inside a little bit. Cats tend to be pretty reserved and internal, keeping to themselves. And then next time you inhale, cow pose. So letting the belly drop, letting the heart move through. And then we'll move a little bit quicker. Exhale into your cat, press into your knuckles. Inhale, belly drops, heart rises. Exhale, round in your spine. Let your nose come into your belly button. Be in your cat. One more round. Inhale, belly drops, heart rises. Exhale, round in your spine. Find a neutral spine. Walk your hands a little bit farther forward, tuck your toes, hips come up and back with a bend in your knees, downward facing dog. So armpits are hugging in, knuckles are pressing down, heels are reaching to the earth, hips are reaching towards the sky, heart is reaching back for the thighs. Let your head go. And then I don't have a dog, but I've certainly been around a lot of dogs that actually really do this stretch a lot. So maybe be playful here. Maybe think of what your dog does if you have a dog. You can be playful here. You can move around. You can shake your head, yes and no. From here, we'll walk the hands back for your feet. Find more bend into your knees. Press into your feet and then roll yourself up to a stand. So we'll find our mountain pose. So mountain pose is hips stacked over the heels. The shoulders are stacked over the hips. The palms come out to the side. The top of the head is the peak of our mountain. The hands are the base of the mountain. So finding that lift of your heart, shoulders melt down, find the majestic mountain inside of you here. Ground down into your feet, steady your gaze. We're gonna come into sun salutations. And I like to think of sun salutations as a way of just greeting and thanking the sun. So next time you inhale, rise your arms tall. Maybe imagine you were holding the ball of the sun in your hands. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, heart reaches forward, head away from your tailbone. Exhale, bow into the body. Inhale, press down into your feet, rise your arms tall, collect the sun in your hands. And then exhale, bring it into your heart. We'll do that a couple more times. Inhale, arms reach tall towards the sun. Maybe hold it in your hands. Exhale, melt your heart forward. Let your head go. Inhale, reach your heart away from your tailbone, long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Head releases. Inhale, press into your feet, arms rise tall, reach for the sun. And then exhale, bring it into your heart. One more time. Inhale, arms rise tall. Exhale, fold the body in half. Let your head go, let your back release. Bend your knees if you need. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, melt your heart, let your head go. Inhale, reach your arms tall. We're going to keep the hands up here, so feet are grounding down underneath the hips. We'll come into what we call a crescent moon pose. So grabbing your right wrist with your left hand, ground down especially into your right foot, and then reach up and over just like you are a crescent moon. Finding some space in the right side body and finding that place where you can breathe, but maybe there's a little bit of tightness or tension. So not forcing. Maybe imagine yourself as a crescent moon. Allow that to put you in the pose, in the center of the pose, feeling what it feels like to be the moon. Inhale back to center, other side. So grabbing your left wrist with your right hand, ground down into your left foot, and reach up and over any amount to the right. Feeling yourself as a crescent moon on this side. Inhale back to center and then draw your hands into your heart. Okay, we're going to take a little strength here. So elbows are going to come out from the shoulders. Palms are stacked over your elbows. We're going to pretend like we're a railroad crossing sign. We're going to close the hands and we're going to open the hands. And then we're just going to kind of flash the hands. We're going to keep the shoulders melting away from the ears. We'll keep our jaw soft. We'll keep our intention focused on a point. It might not feel like a whole lot at first. Maybe it feels like a whole lot at first, but maybe as we stay engaged and present in this, we start to notice some heat in the forearms, some heat in the hands, the arms. If there's pain, please come out. If there's discomfort, invitation to stay, get stronger. See if you can keep your jaw soft, your shoulders melting away from your ears. And if it's helpful to stay present, maybe imagine yourself as a little railroad crossing. Maybe standing in a beautiful field somewhere. Maybe in front of a stream. Keep going or not. We're going to be here for another 20 seconds or so. How's your breath? How's your presence? Can you stay here and now? And then rest your hands down by your sides. Find your mountain pose. Maybe close your eyes, settle your shoulders away. Feel that energy in your palms. Maybe feel the aliveness in your body. From here, keeping the feet hips distance apart, we're going to find what we call chair pose, or some teachers call it Thunderbolt Pose. So we're going to pretend like it's a thunderbolt today. So just like you were a strike of lightning, sink your hips back, scoop your belly into your spine, arms extend out from your shoulders, belly scoops in, finding length in the spine, finding strength in your thighs. Take one more breath. And then exhale, forward fold. We're going to come in 2 more times, or you can stay in a forward fold. Inhale, Thunderbolt Pose, or not. Make sure you can see your toes. If not, send your hips farther back. Settle your shoulders away from your ears. Soften into your jaw. And then exhale, forward fold. Option to stay here, or one more time. Inhale, chair pose. Steady your gaze. Make sure you can see your toes. Scoop your belly into your spine. Exhale, forward fold. Pressing down into your feet, roll yourself up to stand, stacking your spine on top of each little piece of spine. Finding your way to mountain pose. So we're going to come into tree pose. And I really like to think of myself when I do this pose as like standing inside a tree. So before we even get into it, I want you to think of a tree. You can make it up. It can be a tree that you've seen before. It could be a tree if you're lucky enough to have a backyard, or in a park, or maybe some place that you've been. I want you to really see that tree in your mind and think about how strong the roots of a tree are, how stable the trunk of a tree is. Even if it's a small tree, or even if it's like a weeping willow tree, the roots are really strong in a tree. You have the option to come to a wall. That might be nice if balance is challenging today, and it's always good to just be by a wall in case you find out that balance is challenging today, because every day is different. So let's take our hands to our hips. Let's take our feet hips distance, and then ground down into all parts of your feet. So underneath the base of your big toe, your pinky toe, and each corner of your heel. Imagine you had roots going down to the center of the earth. So that might fire up the thighs a little bit. So thighs slightly pressed back, feet are grounding down. And we'll start on our left foot today. How about that? So grounding down into the left foot, right foot gets light. And then take your right foot at your left ankle like a kickstand. So keep that left foot rooting down. So the left thigh is our tree trunk. If you're wobbly today, you can take your left hand to a wall. And before we move into any deeper version of this pose, see if you can find yourself in the center of that tree that you imagined. Can you steady your gaze on a point at eye level? What would it be like? What would it feel like to be inside that steady, stable trunk? And then you have the option to stay here. You're already in a version of tree. Or if you're feeling steady today, you could take that right foot to the calf. You could take that right foot to the inner thigh. If you have the foot on the leg, press the leg, your trunk into your foot, and keep grounding down into the roots of your left foot. Hand can stay at a wall. You could have your hands at your hips. It will really help with balance if you give your mind a focal point. So where you look is where your mind goes. So if you're looking all over the place, your balance will be all over the place. If you look steady and stable at one point, your balance will probably be more steady and stable. Think of that tree, and then decide if you want to stay rooted and centered in the trunk of the tree, or if you want to start to grow your branches. You could grow them tall to the sun that we just saluted. You could take wide branches. You could be a pine tree and take the palms together over the top of your head. If you're wobbly, left hand comes to the wall. We're going to stay a little longer than usual today, so really grounding down into that left standing foot. So left ankle's firing up, left calf is firing up. Breath is moving through. Take one more big, beautiful breath. And then exhale, release out of this side. Really great, you all. All right, let's shake the feet out. So shaking your left foot out, shaking your right foot out. And then let's re-find our mountain pose. If you are coming to a wall, find a wall at your right side or a door, anything that's stable. Take your feet hips distance, find your mountain pose. So we have a new side, new opportunity. Visualize your tree. So it could be the same tree, you could choose a different tree, anything that keeps you present and interested. So find that tree in your mind. Ground all parts of your feet on both feet to the earth. Imagine your feet had roots growing down to the center of the earth. Hands come to the hips. And then we'll stand on the right leg. So right leg gets really strong and stable. The right leg is the trunk of our tree. The right foot has the roots down to the center of the earth. Left foot comes in like a kickstand at the right ankle. And just pause here. So establish your steady balance, establish your gaze point, establish your breath. Maybe the right hand comes to a wall. And then you might want to stay here today, so you're already in tree. Decide if you want to imagine yourself in the trunk of the tree, or if you want to maybe start to grow a branch with your left foot. So left knee tracks out, left foot at the calf, maybe left foot at the inner thigh. Keep pressing the foot into the leg if you have that variation. If you have the foot at the ankle, embrace that as a beautiful tree. Maybe take your right hand to a wall. Keep rooting down, finding those roots going deeper and deeper into the earth. Steady your gaze, soften your jaw. And then either keep yourself placed in the center of that tree, or you can start to grow up out of the tree, becoming part of the branches. So whatever your tree looks like on this side, root it down and rise it from the roots. So everything comes from stability that grows into something beautiful. So stabilize that right foot and let that right foot be your anchor to grow your branches, or to just hug your branches close. Whatever is your version of tree today is beautiful and perfect. Take one more breath wherever you are. And then exhale, release into your mountain pose. So last standing pose. We're gonna come into a balance again. We're gonna come into a figure 4 balance. So instead of thinking of something in nature or an animal, we're gonna think of the number 4. So we're gonna start on the left leg again. So you could take your left hand to a wall. You're gonna cross your right ankle over your left thigh like a figure 4. So this is to open in the hips. You might stay here, or you might add a thunderbolt, send your hips back. So coming into a really strong balance with a hip opener. So option 1 is just to stay with the figure 4, left hand at the wall. Option 2 is to come into thunderbolt with finger 4, hands are at the heart, ground down into the roots of your left foot. Steady your gaze, maybe at something at the wall ahead of you or down on the floor in front of you. Take one more breath wherever you are. Press into your standing leg, release out, and set your right foot down. We'll come into the other side. So right foot gets nice and strong and rooted. We'll take our figure 4, crossing the left ankle over the right thigh. You could come to take your right hand to a wall. Option to stay here, just working on balance here in our 4, or adding your Thunderbolt pose, so bending in your right knee, steadying your gaze. You could take your hands to your heart, you could take your right hand to a wall, keep rooting down, really strong pose, everyone. Breathe with it, be with it. Let it be your own version today. And then press down into your right foot to release out. Beautiful. We're gonna come into L pose at the wall. So we're gonna make our body into the shape of an L. So coming, if you don't have a lot of wall space in your living place, you could come to a door. I'm using a closet door, just not a door that someone else is gonna come through. You could come to a cabinet. So anything where you can put your legs up, you could come to your bed and put your legs up, your headboard if you have a headboard. So we can all get creative in our spaces. There's always something to find. You could use a cabinet of drawers, you could use the front of your refrigerator. So we're gonna tuck ourselves in towards whatever we're putting our legs up. So the right hip and right shoulder, or you can have your left hip and left shoulder. And then we'll come down to the elbows and just make sure that your hip and your shoulder are flush to whatever you're putting your legs up. That's gonna be really helpful in a minute here. So it helps to set this up properly so that we don't have to wiggle around afterwards. So hip and shoulder are connected to whatever you're putting your legs up. And then we're gonna sweep up to make an L with the body. So the heels rest on the wall, the cabinet, the refrigerator, the door, whatever you're using. You can have as much bend in the legs as the backs of the legs need. And then you can either take your arms wide or you can rest the hands on the body. Just create space around your neck. So notice if your shoulders are scrunchy by your ears, send them down away from your ears. And then I'm gonna recommend to close your eyes here. You could also take a soft gaze at one point on the ceiling. I'm going to be quiet, giving us a little space in this restorative pose. So this is a really beautiful pose to reset the body, to help with any kind of cramping, to help soften, to loosen it or lighten a mood, to give us space to rest. So it is normal to feel some tingles in the legs. If at any point it feels weird or like it's too much sensation, you can bend your knees and rest the soles of your feet against the wall and then rejoin us when you're ready. So we're going to be here for 3 minutes. I'm going to be quiet and I just invite you to focus on your breath or to focus on what this feels like in your body today. So 3 minutes here. we have about another minute here. I'm just chiming in to remind you to be engaged, to be in your breath. And if the tingling is too much, you can rest the soles of the feet against the wall. From here, if your legs are still up, start to slide the heels down to where your knees were. Rest the soles of the feet against the wall or whatever you're putting your legs up. And then we'll roll over to one side, making a little shelf for your head with your inner arm. Just feeling the earth underneath you, supporting you. And from that support, press yourself up. And we'll make our way to a comfortable seat. So we're gonna do a breath thing, and then we're gonna do a meditation thing, and then we'll take a rest and be on our way. So find yourself into a comfortable position in your body. So it might be sitting on a chair, it might be sitting on the earth. We're gonna come into what's called bumblebee breath. So you know the sound that a bee makes, that buzzing, the zzz, kind of when it buzzes around. We're gonna make that sound inside of us. This can be a really beautiful way to calm our nervous system down, to feel connected to one another. So I want you to feel your connection of your voice to my voice. And what it's gonna look like, we're gonna take an exhale out, we'll take an inhale through the nose, and then we'll make almost like a humming sound, that bumblebee sound, that kind of sound. And then we'll let that take up the space of the exhale. We'll take an inhale and we'll do it again. We'll do it 3 times together. So either taking a soft gaze at the floor or taking maybe a close of your eyes. Let your breath come all the way out. Inhale through your nose. Let it all go. Through your nose, big inhale in. Let it all fall out. Big inhale in. Let it all go. And then just allow yourself to breathe in, breathe out. Maybe noticing how that felt. So keeping your eyes closed, we're gonna come into something called Thought River. This is a really beautiful meditation practice I find to be helpful to a lot of people. So just a reminder, meditation is not where we just clear our minds. Meditation is where we notice the patterns of the mind and we try not to react to them. So it's a practice, we might slip up. Let's just see how it goes today. So find yourself in a comfortable seat, close your eyes. And then I invite you here to place yourself near a river in your imagination. So like you're sitting on the earth, looking out over a river or a stream. Feel whatever's underneath your seat. Feel the temperature on your skin. Maybe feel the light peeking through the trees or shining down, or maybe it's night. Just place yourself so that you can really see yourself there. And then for Thought River, we're gonna focus on our breath, breathing in this beautiful space by the river. And anytime we notice ourselves not focused on the breath, so like in a thought, in something on our to-do list, whatever comes up, I'm going to invite us to toss that thought into the thought river and then come back to the practice of noticing the breath. So it sounds simple, but it might not be simple. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't be, but just be with what it is today. So closing your eyes, placing yourself by that river, focusing on your breath, maybe hearing the sound of the river. And then we're going to be here for about 2 minutes. Anytime you notice that you're not by the river, focusing on your breath, take that thought and toss it into the river, and then come back to focusing on your breath. Just chiming in to remind you, if you're not focused on your breath, to not beat yourself up, but just toss whatever thought you're in into the river. Come back to noticing your breath. One last reminder to focus on your breath. If you've gone somewhere else, toss that somewhere else in the river, come back to your breath. Gently bring yourself back into the room, flutter your eyes open, and then we'll come to a comfortable position either on your back. You could also stay seated. We're going to come into a guided meditation and then a couple minutes of rest. So give yourself the most comfortable space you can give yourself for these finishing moments together. If you want to cover yourself with a blanket, if you want to use a pillow in any way, really set this up to be as cozy as possible. And if you are lying on your back, I want us, since we're focusing on embodying the poses today, so the final pose of meditation, or the final pose of a physical practice of yoga, is corpse pose. So it might sound morbid just because the West has a really weird relationship with death, but other cultures are much better at just accepting death as part of a practice. So the idea is that we let go and that we are reborn into a new experience. So allowing yourself this little death, allowing yourself to soften, allowing yourself to be in your breath, and then just really feeling your body grounding down to the floor. So letting whatever is touching the floor touch the floor. Letting gravity do the work here. So no need to hold yourself up. Let yourself rest down. Find space around your neck. Let your shoulders settle away from your ears. Let your jaw soften. Allow your heart to soften open. Just being with whatever is in your heart, with tenderness, with acceptance. Letting your stomach release. Letting your arms and your legs be heavy. Allowing your hands and your feet, your fingers and your toes to soften. And I'll just give us a couple minutes here to rest. See if you can truly give yourself this time to just be in the experience of the present, of being here in your hopefully relaxed, open, soft body. So starting to bring awareness back to your breath. Let that draw you back into your body. And then before we even get up, I just invite us all to think about the symbolism of rising up from this practice into a new moment, into a new life, a new moment, a new opportunity. So starting to find any little movements of your fingers and your toes. Maybe taking one of those big morning stretches, arms up and overhead, maybe toes point opposite of the hands. And then eventually, no rush, rolling over to your right side, making a pillow for your head with your inner arm. Pressing yourself up to a seat if you're not there already. And let's just finish with the hands on the heart today, closing your eyes, feeling your own heartbeat. Taking one final inhale and exhale together. Let your exhale come out. Inhale through your nose. Exhale from your nose. Seal your hands together. Bow your chin into the wisdom of your heart. The light in me sees and acknowledges the light in all of you. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you to Grand Park for having us, and I'll see you all again soon. Have a beautiful day.